So, for those of you unaware of this phenomenon, human beings are terrible creatures, despicable, evil little lemmings whose entire existence is to whine about something. Although that might just be my roaring cynicism and prolonged exposure to social media, otherwise known as chemo on steroids. Now, for those of you living under a rock, the biggest YouTuber, MrBeast, a very successful chap, often does some cool things with all his dosh, this time going into Africa and digging water wells. Now, you would think this noble act would be celebrated because it's objectively a good thing to give people clean water. But like I said just a few moments ago, we're populated with a bunch of whining assholes, and my Romanian friend, Mr. V, asked the following question.
These kids are drinking from this water. And as you can see, it doesn't look very sanitary. The teacher is also pointing out that many of the kids have got sick. They constantly get diarrhea. And they would like, if possible, to have some clean water, which is what MrBeast does. Uses this machinery in order to drill a well and gives people access to clean water. And as you can see, they're all happy and they're dancing. So I got a couple of questions, right? Like this is very bizarre for me because I genuinely do not understand why can't they make the well themselves?
Ooh, that's a very, very dangerous question indeed, my friend. However, myself being an African, I have the capacity, the skill, nay, the birthright, to speak about this issue in a manner that very few ever will. So, let's tackle it. Why are there some grouchy-ass bastards who are upset by this? Well, it's actually very easy. It involves the most heinous, the most evil, the most treacherous entity ever devised on God's green earth. Before I tell you guys, you tell me in the comment section what you think it might be. Ready? One word. Bureaucracy. Bureaucracy, you say? Yes, bureaucracy indeed, and here is the reason why. When it comes to, say, governments, charities, NGOs, organizations, etc., most of these entities are nothing more than money laundering operations and scams designed to make people look busy. And that's it. That is all they do. And so, when you have someone like MrBeast who has a shed load of money and who just bypasses all of this web of bullshit and bureaucracy, hires people for the job and, just does the work, it makes other people who are supposedly in charge of doing this for God knows how long look lazy and incompetent at best and shady and corrupt at worst. Now, I did hear through the grapevine some people complaining about this, but I never saw any of it firsthand, so I went to look to see what I could find, and I came across this CNN article. Check this out. Similarly, freelance journalist Ferdinand Omandi lauded MrBeast's efforts but said that it's embarrassing that a YouTuber jetted into Kenya on a charity tour to perform tasks our taxes should have completed ages ago. CNN reached out to a Kenyan government spokesperson for comment but had not received a response at the time of publication. Geez, I wonder why. Saran Kaba-Jones, founder and CEO of Face Africa, an organization working to improve water infrastructure and sanitation in sub-Saharan Africa, told CNN, "I've been doing this for 15 years, but we've been struggling to continue the work because of funding, awareness, and advocacy all take work, aka paying off the bureaucracy." And then she added, overnight this person came along who happened to be a white male figure with a huge platform, and all of a sudden he gets all of the attention. It's kind of frustrating, but also understanding the nature of how the world is. Yet he gets praise and attention because he actually did the work in a matter of days, weeks, and months that you couldn't do in 15 years. So that'd be the reason why. Nature of the world, my ass. Might also be the nature of how certain humans are, but we can't talk about that now, can we? Because the truth is very scary to the peasantry. But yeah, it's almost like I'm right on the money. What else is new? Now, as far as why this pisses off some Westerners, well, passing the fact that MrBeast is a man of European ethnicity and he's also the avatar of white saviorism that they secretly are extremely envious of, it is because these organizations exist as entities through which the virtue-signaling wankers can flex their virtue. However, if someone like MrBeast comes along and does the work these organizations are supposedly supposed to be doing, but does it better, faster, and cheaper like a proper philanthropist, he not only puts them all to shame and makes them look bad and renders their money laundering schemes redundant, but he also robs the virtue-signaling wankers of the organs they use to flex their virtue, which really pisses them off. It was never about the work of MrBeast, mind you. No, it was about how he made them feel useless and inadequate. If they actually gave a damn about these people, they would praise him. Simple as that. Now, let's get a little bit spicier. Why can't they build the wells themselves? Well, government corruption aside, I'd like to turn your attention to this New York Times piece from 2008 about the eradication of malaria. And the world changed. Before the 1960s, colonial governments and companies fought malaria because their officials often lived in remote outposts like Nigeria's hill stations and Vietnam's Marble Mountains. Independence movements led to freedom, but also often to civil war, poverty, corrupt government, and the collapse of medical care. That last line, independence movements led to freedom, but also often to civil war, poverty, corrupt government, and the collapse of medical care. Why do you think that is? Could it possibly be because an independent movement is not an order, it's just a pissed off mob in the grand scheme of things? And should it be successful, they will quickly find themselves devolving into anarchy and chaos because guess what? All you have now is a vacuum, and a pissed off mob is not skilled in the art of administration. Why? It's almost like these former colonial countries were run far better and more efficiently under colonial rule than simply handing over the reins of power to non-Europeans who have no freaking clue on how to run a European-style state. Imagine my shock! It's why Zimbabwe went to hell under Mugabe. He took away the land from competent farmers and gave it to idiots who had no freaking idea on how to farm at scale, and so the equipment became rusted and the land became derelict. Wise move when about 80% of your economy runs on agricultural exports, you dumbass. What'd you expect? Cronyism. Same thing is happening in South Africa. The previous regime was a lot more competent and safer, and it stuns Westerners to learn that some of the older generation who lived under it would rather it return because they can tell which demographic ruled the land better. And it's not the ANC. Sure as hell won't be the EFF either. Again, not a shock when you hand over the reins of power to idiots who have no idea how to run a government, are corrupt as holy hell, and now are near 80% of the population who haven't the first freaking clue about politics and somehow magically expect the country not to spiral off into a spattering shit show. Democracy, may it burn in hell. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.